do a short little blurb here on the faking of evidence and the framing of dissidents and other people that are enemies of the state or just enemies of the corporate world. I think I qualify as these type of enemies, and so this is something I'd like to make public in the event that it is used against me. I've had other things used against me, mostly direct attacks. With directed energy weapons and biotech, but there's no telling which way it'll go and how powerful my opponents are or how powerful my friends are. And I think that eventually I'll probably find this out, but also I have a little power myself, and so I'd like to flex that as often as possible just to cover my behind, okay? The most easily faked evidence in the world is DNA evidence, and this technological police force, this scientific forensic type of crime fighting is just a joke and isn't real, because they can get your DNA out of your trash can if you blow your nose, you smoke cigarettes, whatever, that's your DNA right there. It can be planted at a crime scene or just carried along, and oops, look, we collected this over here. And believe me, going through people's trash is a big part of intelligence and police work today. They go out of their way to abscond with people's trash who they are interested in. They can learn a lot. It's like archaeology, biological archaeology, and forensic archaeology, and they do it quite a lot. There's a book called Dunn's Conundrum by Stan Lee, and I don't know if it's Stan Lee, the same guy that did Spider-Man. I don't think so. But anyway, also The God Project by the same guy. And there has been other books under that name just to muddy the waters, because these books are so prophetic and give so much intelligence information away. They actually serve as leaks. But anyway, Dunn's Conundrum is about a man who works for the government, who that's what he does, is go through people's trash. He's the garbage man, the trash man. And that's one of there's a really good inside view by reading that book of things that could and probably do go on in the government. So anyway, DNA evidence is easily it's almost as if faked, easily faked. It's almost as if they created this type of thing just so that they could fake it, and frame people that don't go along. And if you know about other programs in the government and ways they treat their enemies, that might be a lot more plausible to you than if you just were listening to me and hearing this for the first time, because they will do anything to choke you out if you don't agree with them. They are intent on keeping history written according to them and not true. A lot of stuff they teach in schools, a lot of stuff that you see on television, most of the stuff you see on television, of course, is just fiction. That's just the way it is. The sooner you grow up and learn that, the better off you'll be, and the more you can teach your children. Now, as far as cybersecurity is concerned, there's also a lot of implantable evidence. They can just right across the lines get on your hard drive and plant evidence. There's things that can be embedded in photos and in music, and I'm sure then there's programs that can trigger it so that these things either open up on your hard drive or they're just detectable to cyber forensics when the time comes. Of course, when they get a hold of your hard drive and they've got you already that far, you're in deep. You have not ascertained nor demanded your rights. So they've got you in their fear machine, and you probably don't own any guns. You're not going to fight them back. They know this because they are basically a bunch of cowards who are just basically out there protecting their action and living in a false world, they don't even have any spirituality. They're just, I guess you would call them golems. They're like men of clay. And they don't have anything good going for them. They don't have the growth of the country in mind. They're out there trying to keep the value of their pennies alive, and their zinc pennies and their paper money, and trying to. But there's one good thing about knowing all this is that you can distance yourself from them by getting into things like barter and alternative currency, and realizing that, if you do not willingly imply consent, you have to imply certain consent because you're born into this world where the money is here and you have to use it. But once you realize that you're implying consent just by using these so-called benefits, you can set it up so that you make statements that you're doing it in duress, under duress. You don't do it by choice. And once that happens, they want to keep you as far away from the court system as possible because they're afraid that other people will see it or hear it, or it'll give you credibility, give your writings or your whatever you say credibility. So they're definitely, it's a game, it's a charade, it's a game of cards that they're playing, a house of cards that they live in, and any little huff and puff can come along and blow it down. And that's actually happening now, no matter how they're shoring it up with their duct tape and masking tape and staples and glue. It's, coming apart on them, and there's nothing that they can do about it because it was never built to last. They just wanted to get as much as they possibly could and run. And that's what they're doing.